Yeah, so next up we're going to talk about the newest episode of Doctor Who Flux.
Once Upon a Time.
By Chris Chibnall. Now, I'm going to first of all say I have no idea what any of the online discourse is for this episode. I don't know if people loved it, if people despised it. I think that this is the best episode of Doctor Who that Chris Chibnall has ever written.
What? Seriously?
Yeah. I think it's really good. I really enjoyed it.
Who wrote Kablam? That wasn't
Chris Chibnall.
You're probably right then.
Obviously, there was a similar thing. I wasn't expecting after, things got a bit more manageable and more of some tyrants for us to then go kind of even exceed how much stuff was going on in the first episode with this. Like, a lot of stuff was going on. It was all out of sequence. But by the end, I felt all pulled together. And I thought it was a really effective way of giving us kind of just background and context on these characters, giving us some clearing up stuff, giving us some new points of intrigue with the whole stuff with the Division and the Ravagers. I just really liked this episode, and the way it was put together and structured, whilst unconventional, I found effective. Vinder's wife, I thought that was a cool character that he introduced. I think Vinder refers to the fact that he has a wife in the episode.
My wife.
Yeah, he does that. He does the Borat voice because intergalactic pilot man Vinder has watched Borat.
I enjoyed it, but it didn't keep my attention as much as previous episodes. I found myself halfway through on my phone. I even stood up halfway through to eat some popcorn.
Why do you think that was?
I didn't really. It was too sci-fi for me, which is strange because I like a lot
Doctor
of
Who is.
But then, I love Back to the Future, but the necessary things I like about it are always the sci-fi stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, and I just sort of couldn't see past the naff effects, really. I felt some of the green screen was really bad.
I think the stuff in the time storm, I can see that.
Is that where Jodie stood around floating with those big tall people?
Maury.
Yeah. Some of the dialogue was a bit flat, and I've noticed that, I think I've said that before about this series, there's a lot of the Doctor or companions having to explain what's going on, rather than just showing us. There's a lot of, I must now go here and do this thing to save such person. And I'm like, just go and do it.
I said, I didn't feel that.
Yeah, there is a scene where, I think it's the last time she gets blown away to wherever.
Okay, the scenes with the Maury and the 13th Doctor.
Yeah, where she's floating around and it's just, like the last time she's transported somewhere. She says a line, I'm like, you could have just showed us it rather than tell us it and then show us what you're going to do.
Come on, Doctor. You're in here for a reason. Fix the future. Fix Atropos. Protect Yaz and that lad. I'm being pulled away again. Dragged back to Atropos in the past.
That said, I did like to see Joe Martin return.
Yes, the Fugitive Doctor made a big return.
That was a nice surprise. Yeah. I thought it was just going to be that one little window cameo. But then they were like, no, she's in the full thing.
Yeah, in the whole scene.
I saw there's a behind the scenes video where Jodie says how she conducts herself differently to represent,
I saw that.
Like the way she stands and moves around and stuff is much more in tone with Joe Martin.
Yeah, it was very interesting to read that because I hadn't really thought that in depth about kind of the characterization choices that Jodie had made. And it was cool to kind of just get a little, as an actor, it was cool to get an insight into the level of thought that she was putting into all those aspects of the Doctor and all her tics and how she held herself.
Yeah, it was good. No, I did do a Twitter poll. I said, what did you make of tonight's episode? 10% said they hated it, 22% said they were disappointed, 27% said they liked it, and 41% said they loved it.
So most people loved it.
Most people loved it, but I know earlier on in the series it was more defined that people... It seems to be leveling itself
There's
out.
a bit more division.
Yeah.
Not a ton, but it's creeping in.
Carvanista was back.
Yeah, it was great to see Carvanista played by John Bishop.
I wonder if you watch it back, if you notice that John Bishop is also representing the mannerisms of Carvanista.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, the first time I was like, I kind of suspected he was Carvanista partway through when we saw the reflection of Joe Martin, but when he held up like the kind of crossbow thing, that basically confirmed it.
So that means that Joe Martin once travelled with Carvanista?
Well, yeah, she was once part of that group called The Division.